Nick Jonas just said what a lot of believers are too afraid to admit.
Back when I was young, my faith was on fire. In my Sunday best, seated in my chest while church late again for a while. But those younger days went away in a hurry. And now all that's left is a lifelong test. And I can't seem to find my way. So I need some hope.
These are the opening lyrics to his new song, Hope. So let's talk about it. As believers, we tend to romanticize that feeling that he talked about in the beginning of the verse, that fire, but we don't talk about what happens when it fades away. We mentioned the Sunday best, the singing loud, the revivals, that version of faith that feels effortless and sure. Like, you can't even imagine what it feels like to doubt. But then he says, all those younger days went away in a hurry, and I can't seem to find my way. And that shift, I think, happens to a lot more of us than we're willing to admit. Even David, in 1 Samuel 27, was fleeing Israel because he was certain that Saul was going to kill him, even though he had a promise from God that he would be king one day. So even though that feeling of your faith being on fire is amazing, faith that was built on feelings alone doesn't know what to do when those feelings leave. It's not supposed to stay at that level of intensity forever. Faith has seasons, and the fire is real, but so is the refining that happens in the quiet. Both of those things are God at work. Sometimes, faith just feels like holding on by a thread, even when you don't feel God's presence there. And that's actually having more faith, not less. Believers sometimes think that doubt and faith can't coexist, but this song proves that they do. He says,
"And my faith's too strong, but it won't last long. If I can't hear from you someday soon."
Followed immediately by,
I still believe every word that you wrote in that book.
and the Bible gives us a perfect example of this. In Mark chapter 9, verse 24, it says, I do believe, help me overcome my unbelief. That father in Mark chapter 9 said the quiet part out loud, and Jesus didn't get angry. He didn't rebuke him. He healed his son. Because God can handle our honesty. He's not afraid of us admitting when we feel like we can't hold on much longer. He already knows what we can handle, and he's waiting for you to release what you can't carry onto him. And sometimes we so desperately wait for that feeling to come back, like we think that's what our faith is supposed to feel like, or like we've lost something essential. But sometimes the miracle is just that we're still hanging on. Nick keeps repeating, I need some hope, like it's a prayer.
I can see that got you a little...
Yeah, for sure.
What's going through your mind?
She came to the world under sort of very intense circumstances, which I've not really talked about ever. We were expecting her to arrive in April of the year she was born. And we get a call that it's going to be sooner. So we basically, went into action. She came out, she was 1 pound, 11 ounces. Purple, basically.
And then he gets to the bridge, where he says,
Lift me up when I'm too weak to stand, and show me it's part of your plan. In the silence, I still feel the touch of your hand, and that gives me hope.
The stress of life sometimes gets so hectic that the best thing that we can do is meet God in the silence. Even when God feels distant, there's still something, a touch, a presence, a call from a friend, just enough to keep going. In 1 Kings chapter 19, verse 11, it says, The Lord said, go out and stand on the mountain in the presence of the Lord, for the Lord is about to pass by. Then a great and powerful wind tore the mountains apart and shattered the rocks before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. And after the wind, there was an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake came a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire came a gentle whisper. That's where God was. In the silence. In the whisper. In the chorus, Nick says that he's waiting to be on the other side of a miracle. But maybe the miracle isn't that the fire comes back overnight. Sometimes the miracle is just that in the middle of the smoke, the silence, the struggle, that you're still praying faithfully and honestly. You're still saying, I need some hope. And that in itself is an act of faith. And God is oftentimes much closer in the valley than he ever is in the mountaintop. If your faith doesn't feel like it used to, you're not alone. If you're holding on by a thread, that thread still counts as faith. And if all you can pray is, I need some hope, that's enough. Because God meets us in the fire and in the silence. If this resonated with you, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. As y'all can see, I got some serious credentials for this video. This is from the 2008 prom tour. They were such